Constantly shifting through the time-space continuum, Metron's three disciples observe the universe from the Mobius Couch.
You betrayed me, and I know that you'll never feel sorry for the way I hurt. You talked to her when we were together, loved you at your worst, but that didn't matter. It took you 2 weeks to go off and date her. Guess you didn't cheat, but you're still sitting on the Mobius couch. A time-space interdimensional vehicle. And the internet's #1 podcast for tracking ice movements in the Pacific Northwest. Joe, Pat, how y'all doing? What's Portland looking like today?
Pretty good. You know what? I can tell you all about Main Street in downtown.
Nice. Yeah. Speaking of
A lot of
tracking,
activity there the last couple of weeks. Wait a minute. That doesn't seem...
Yeah, I mean, I'm looking at the knobs here on the couch, and I think we're maybe in the wrong dimension. Let me...
Oh man, if only we were.
We should be doing that.
If only we were in the wrong dimension.
Let me press some buttons here on the dial. Beep boop beep. Beep boop 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 boop. The Mobius Couch, where we talk about comics. Let's
talk about happy things.
Let's talk about comic. Well, actually, the comic we're talking about today is about betrayal. It's not about happy things.
Yeah.
It's about a breach of trust.
Betrayal, but it's also about friendship and unity and coming together as a team.
Teamwork. You know.
Yeah. But ladies and gentlemen, so the Mobius Couch, we do talk about comic books, and of course on the couch is me, Alessandro, and joining me are Patrick.
Hello, how's it going?
JLA Al Ghul.
How's it going? JLA Al Ghul.
How did you come up with JLo Al Ghul?
Oh, we'll get into it later during my overall take.
Okay. And Joe is also.
Oh, hey guys. Yeah, I'm here too. What are we talking about tonight?
We are talking about and first of all, I want to beg forgiveness for our audience. I'm a little sick. So if I sound sick, it's because I am sick. However, unlike some members of the podcast, I still show up when I'm sick. I just rub some dirt on it and get back on the field and play the game.
I mean, that's what I don't. Who are you referring to?
I'm not anyone specific, but just some people here when they get sick go lie down on their
fainting
couch.
Do. You and I don't, but some people do.
Yeah, some people go lie down on their fainting couch and say,
"Yeah, you and I will just go all night, go all day if we're sick."
Yeah.
Fever be damned.
I need my rest.
But we don't know who the other person is that would. Just
we don't know who. I mean, it could be one of.
It could be you, it could be me, it could be Patrick. We don't know, but it's definitely not you or me. But it could be all of us. It could be one of us or all of us.
Myriad.
It's definitely not you or me.
It's our guest star Dave.
However,
from Swamp Thing and Dark Phoenix.
It could be. That's
not
true.
me.
The other option is Dave.
The other option is Dave. He's been here a couple of times. It could be Dave.
Yeah, it could be him.
God.
The fourth member of the Swamp Couch, where we talk about swamps.
He's the unofficial fourth Beatle.
Yeah. Okay, but we're not on the Swamp Couch. We're on the Mobius Couch today, and we are going to talk about a seminal JLA, Justice League of America, story arc, and that is Tower of Babel. The Tower of Babel. This is friend of the podcast, Mark Waid. We've talked about some other properties he's been on before, but this was him taking over JLA from Grant Morrison, another friend of the podcast, after his World War III arc. And in July of 2000, Mark Waid jumps on with Tower of Babel, hugely influential, hugely big storyline.
Yes.
Both.
He'd filled in a couple of times. He'd done a few fill-in stories. It wasn't like his first dip into this JLA team.
Yeah, but this was the start of.
This was the official start of his run. Yes.
And Tower of Babel, it's only 4 issues, but was really influential. It helped kind of set the stage for not just Batman's character, but also how he fits into the JLA and the JLA as a whole. We'll go into this in more detail, but it was kind of the whole through line from Crisis on Infinite Earths to Infinite Crisis, and like the way Batman fits into the Justice League and then into Identity Crisis and all of that. Like the stage was really, this is the linchpin of that whole overarching arc for the character, and that was all Mark Waid. In this. So we'll go into a little bit more detail later, but all of that is just to say that this was a big time arc for the JLA. And we're going to be talking about that. And the art is, of course, our old friend Hopo, Howard Porter.
Yeah, Hopo. You know, I mean, he got really sick a couple of years ago. I mean, Jesus, it's probably like a decade now. But he left and came back, and he's. I think this deluxe cover, if you're watching on YouTube, the image that's up on the bottom left is his newer work. So he's kind of back to like how he was, but he was definitely like he took some years off to like get his art back up to speed.
Well, yeah, wasn't he? And was he an accident or?
I feel like it was an illness where he like didn't have control over his motor skills.
And then he was having like driving.
I could be wrong. I barely remember it, and you know, because I don't when stuff comes out about that people like that, I'm just like that's none of my business, and I don't pay attention, sort of, and not in a mean way. I just like it's not my But yeah, but he was sick for a long time and then came back, or sick or got injured or something and then came back. But,
yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
and Howard Porter
did better and stronger now.
But he did the art in the Morrison issues we did too, right? Wasn't he? He did.
JLA he started JLA #1. He was on JLA for quite some time. I think he went. Did he go all the way to 100?
Can't remember. No, Brian Hitch. Oh, okay. I think Brian Hitch comes on after him.
Okay,
yeah, Brian Hitch.
All right. Well, let's get into
also Doug Manx in the 80s, right?
Daryl Banks, Mike Miller.
Not the 80s, the decade. The 80s, like the numbering.
Yeah, the numbering. Right. All right. Well, let's get into overall takes for. Let's just jump into the arc. Let's do overall takes.
Sure. Yeah.
Joe, I don't think you've ever started off an overall take.
I do sometimes, but very infrequently. You're right. I still love this for many, many reasons. That being said, I don't think it holds up very well. A lot of the dialogue's kind of clunky. There's a lot of like overly 90s-ish dialogue of like science-y talk that doesn't need to be in there, kind of thing. I don't know. It's still not the worst thing in the world. But it's like, and I still love the story arc, but like without the reveal of Batman being the one that planned the plan and like what was going, and him leaving the league or like leaving the team at the end, like without those big, huge seminal moments being like a part of the enjoyment of reading it, it's lackluster. I think Ra's al Ghul's plan's a little silly, like kind of thing. The death traps are not. I mean, because they're not supposed to be death traps. They're supposed to like incapacitate the team per se. But like Martian Manhunter's one seems
I think he was
harsh, whereas everybody else is like, I'd be all right probably. But I don't know. Some of them seem like weak, and then other ones seem like really over the top. And I'm like, what was he thinking with that? But all right. But anyway, I was telling Patrick. So the DCAU, the animated universe, did a movie called Justice League Doom, and it was like one of their first Justice League movies. So like some of the old voice casts, like Kevin Conroy's still Batman in that one, and Michael Rosenbaum still does Flash, even though it's Barry for some reason.
Wasn't it Vandal Savage in that one?
It was Vandal Savage. So there's a lot of changes. So it came out years and years after this book, and like they did a lot of changes, I think, for the better. It's a great movie, and it was weird because I like happened to be watching it. It wasn't like on purpose. I just put it on. I was like, and I totally forgot it was a take on this story. And me and my kids were watching it, and I was like, that's funny. This is Tower of Babel. And no offense, they did it a little better, but so it was very fresh in my mind as I went to reread this. And that might have colored it a little bit for me too, because I was just like, man, I just saw like a really good version of this story, and this is not it, kind of thing. So that was definitely part of it. But in the grand scheme of things, still really fun concept and really fun idea. I still, even though Howard Porter's art is like a little clunky at best in some of this and very like late 90s, I still like it weirdly. So like, there's that. I still enjoyed his art. He weirdly had a fill-in artist for the last issue of the arc though, which I thought was so weird.
That is very strange.
Like a weird issue for him to take a break on, I guess is what I'm saying. But anyway, overall, I don't know. I give it like a letter grade. I'd give it like a C minus. Like it's still fun. I still like it. And it's still like a seminal, like important arc of JLA and Batman and its involvement in the JLA, like you were saying, Al, but like it doesn't hold up great for me. But so I have good things to say and bad things as we go on, I guess. Patty?
All right. I mean, I don't have much to add to what you said. The concept is great. Like Al just went through, like linchpin of Batman's character development in relation to the Justice League, and he's the human, and they're all like super powerful gods, and he's got you know, backup plans, and dives into Batman's paranoia, having to be one step ahead, and all that good stuff. But I think it was a little bit of both. The dialogue and the art was clunky. Like, there were times, and I'll call it out as we go through the issues, but there were times where the action sequences made zero sense to me. And I just felt like the blocking could have been better with the dialogue. It's like the art and the dialogue. They would try to jam a bunch of dialogue into one panel as opposed to like breaking it up into maybe 3 separate panels to get different perspectives. And a lot of it came off as comical when I don't think it was meant to be comical. So again, I remember reading this 20 years ago and really loving it, and rereading it and be like, I was kind of shocked about how poorly it held up 20 years later. It's 4 issues, but it was kind of tough to get through, especially after knowing how it ends and there's no mystery to it. It just it was kind of a tough read. So I think it's got its place in history, you know, for what it is and what it did for all these relationships. Because the way things resolve in the next storyline is, or the 2 storylines after this, is that Batman and Superman reveal their secret identities to the rest of the league, and that's how they kind of smooth things over. So it kind of, you know, it does have a lot of cause and effect stuff happening, but overall it was kind of painful rereading it in 2026.
It was a little painful.
Yeah.
My overall take is I think I'm on Patrick's side of the spectrum. I just thought this was bad, and I never read it at the time. I mean, I knew about the storyline and that kind of conceit of like Batman's plan being taken and used by evil. But I hadn't read it at the time, and it's just bad now. I thought the writing was pretty bad. The plotting was pretty bad. The art is awful. Hopo, I'm sorry, but it's bad. People look goofy. It's just not good. None of it is good. It's interesting too, because it's a pattern I've noticed where I feel like the 1995 to 2003 range are the comics that we read now that feel like they've aged the worst out of any time period.
Yeah.
And I don't know.
Unless it gets really old and it's like super heavy dialogue or super heavy narration.
Yeah, but I think some of it is, I think there's a few things that play. One is stuff from the 70s and before is so old that you're reading it, kind of seeing the time period, and you're very aware that it's a moment, you're looking at an antique kind of.
Yeah.
But things from when we were kids, I feel like we still have this view of it as being modern and recent, but then when you read it, it feels like, oh,
it feels
this is just bad now.
So
I think like this is just, and it's strange because this incarnation of the JLA, especially with Kyle Rayner, Green Lantern, with that like white square on his costume and all, is just that's the JLA I grew up with. Like when I was a kid, that's the team that I knew and loved. But then reading this stuff now, it's just so, even aesthetically, it looks so goofy and bad. And the characters are also, the dialogue is weird. I don't know. None of this has aged well at all. In any of these rereads we do from this time period, I don't know. The Morrison run, I felt similarly to that when we did the JLA for Morrison. Anyway, I know I'm going long-winded on this, but I did not really enjoy this read. It was the one positive thing I'll say, and maybe at the end when we wrap it up, we'll go into more details. But I did kind of think this was interesting how it fit into Identity Crisis and Infinite Crisis, and how. Anyway, I thought that was interesting because in this they're setting up Batman as this kind of how he betrayed everyone's trust. But then later Meltzer in Identity Crisis kind of retcons that into, well, the Justice League betrayed him first. So then did it make it okay? But then he's also making the Omax and the Eye in the Sky that are then like a weird hyper escalation. of the Tower
Yeah.
of Babel play. Anyway, it was an interesting reading that now after having the larger context of those crises and how they all built up, and how this fit into that. We can go into more detail later once we've gone over the plot and all that, but I thought that was kind of interesting. But I didn't think this was good as a standalone arc. I didn't really think it was good.
That is interesting. I didn't really think about it in the context of Identity Crisis and Infinite Crisis when I was reading it.
Yeah.
I was too obsessed with Ra's al Ghul's
issue one.
Issue 1, yep. And in terms of like larger points, I think we've already made them about how this was Mark Waid's entrance into the Justice League. Also, Tower of Babel is a biblical reference.
Yes.
In the Bible, the greatest book ever written. I think we all agree.
Yeah, but the Bible's a ripoff of Harry Potter.
Yeah. Well, no, which came first? No, didn't Aragon or Hunger Games? Was
no, Jesus is a ripoff of The Boy Who Lived.
Okay, I got you.
Yeah.
But in the Bible, at one time, humanity was united and spoke one language, and they were building a tower to reach the heavens, and God didn't like that because he is a spiteful little bitch.
He's an asshole, man.
And so he struck down the tower and confused people into speaking different languages, and that's why we're different tribes who don't see eye to eye. Because we were too strong together. And God didn't like that.
I think I think
that's the Tower of Babel story.
Aside from that, I think there's beats in this that hold up. Like, I love the idea of distracting Batman by taking his parents away. Like, that's really fun idea. Well, obviously, at the time, Ra's al Ghul being the only one that would have been able to do that.
Well, it was funny too, because when you're reading it, at first I thought, well, Batman seems to be overreacting to just corpses being taken. But then later, Ra's al Ghul revealed his plan that he was going to revive them in the Lazarus pit. I thought, oh well, yeah, well, I guess that is a problem.
Yeah, well, I mean, you'd be pretty upset of your parents, especially Batman, of your parents' graves being desecrated. Period. I think.
Yeah, I don't know. I believe in.
I mean, I
don't know. I feel like if my best friend called me and was like, "Hey, man, me and all of your other best friends are being attacked and we're all being killed," I wouldn't be like, "Don't call me."
My parents
don't call me.
People that are already dead and have been dead a very long time.
Yeah,
are currently being absconded with.
So one thing I wanted to bring up,
it's a cool way to distract him, I guess. Being his plan. And I'm gonna do this constantly throughout this since I just watched it. But Justice League Doom did it better. Vandal Savage being the one that knows Batman's identity because he's immortal and he's just known the whole time and didn't care, kind of thing. So that was the impetus there versus Ra's al Ghul knows who Batman is.
Vandal Savage, quick side note. I don't think I ever really read a comic he was heavily centered in, but I feel like in all the show incarnations, they've done him really well. Like in Young Justice.
He's so cool in the show.
In Justice League Unlimited, he's really done well, right, as a villain.
Agreed.
But one thing that
they don't utilize him well in the comics for some reason.
Yeah.
And also, Ra's al Ghul usually does take the place of his kind of archetype in the comics.
Well, they're both kind of wizened, immortal people. Yeah, sort of. One thing that I thought was interesting was I feel like a lot of versions of this story would not begin with Ra's al Ghul. They would kind of begin with the mystery of the team being attacked and not knowing who it was. But
very true.
But Mark Waid starts right away with the first scenes are Ra's al Ghul talking about why he wants to.
It's very quickly. Well, so Doom starts the same way. His parents get taken, and then it unfolds that Vandal Savage is putting together basically the Legion of Doom. But so it's a very cartoon-esque version of what in this it's just Ra's al Ghul. In that he forms a supervillain team, but kind of akin to the Super Friends kind of thing. But there's just differences. There's the thing that happens to Martian Manhunter happens to him in the movie, but it's just done better, sort of. I guess that's the closest one. Aquaman's not on the team in the movie, so that's different. the thing that they do to Green Lantern is the thing they do to Aquaman. They use the fear gas and make him think he killed a bunch of people, so he like loses his will to keep fighting. So like I thought that was a much more interesting way of taking out Green Lantern versus like making him blind or whatever they do in this. Just little things like that. The Flash one is more interesting. He has a bomb that he was vibrating and it gets like shackled, so it's through his wrist bone, so he can't like get it out, and then he can't slow down. He has to keep running. So that's like the impetus of that one. And I'm like, I love that. So he has to keep running. But at the same time, you're like, and if he slows down, it'll explode, and it's like a 3-mile radius. Well, yeah, but it's also like he can't stop to do anything and use his powers to help them still because he has to be far away from anybody in case it goes off, kind of thing. So he like runs off by himself. The Wonder Woman one is the same thing, but it's not happening in her mind. So she's like beating up cops and civilians and stuff, thinking it's like a supervillain. Like she sees Cheetah everywhere and she's like fighting them all and doesn't understand what's going on. So that's a little more interesting just because it's actually happening and not happening in her head. But yeah, anyway, we'll get into it. What you guys? Plastic Man being on the team was fun though. That was fun.
I was a little bit surprised by that, but he's fun. Also pretty.
He's always a fun addition.
Yeah,
there's a really good. I mean, we've talked about it before, but like at Obsidian Age and stuff, there's some really cool stuff with Plastic Man on the League later on, and I'm really like, and I've forgotten he had become like a pretty official member at this point. Like around this time, I thought it came later, but so I sort of forgot he was in this story arc, honestly.
Yeah.
But they take out Martian Manhunter, they set him on fire, and then they take out Aquaman and Plastic Man pretty quick. They freeze Plastic Man and smash him with a hammer.
Well, you're skipping a lot, so you didn't talk about how Ra's al Ghul entrusted a endangered tiger, of which there were 2, to someone who is not a trained tiger handler.
He just thought some chocolate would be good for
like the very first scene is this guy saying, "Oh, I'm sorry, I fed him chocolate," and Ra's al Ghul executes him because now the tiger's extinct. Like, why not put that tiger in the hands of someone qualified?
Also, if there's only 2 of them left, can they even repopulate their species?
I think you need more than 2. Yeah, I mean, you can do like the next generation, but then
more than 2. I mean, I don't know.
Maybe there's another woman and they were hoping, or
and
they were hoping for a boy baby or something.
Has he always been like an eco-terrorist? Has he always been like
that's very classic?
Yeah, I think that's a pretty normal.
Well, it's not for the animals. It's more like the human beings. Humanity as a whole is draining on the planet, and he wants to cull the humanity down to like a manageable number. He's never been like, I want to destroy everything. He wants to just like kill people down to that is also exactly the
same. He wants to do the end game, the Thanos Infinity War plan of I just want to get the number down so that
he wants to keep the resources to a manageable level because they're currently destroying the earth, kind of thing. We are currently destroying the earth, and he's not wrong.
Also, another quick Ra's point for
Ra's al Ghul should exist for real. That's all I'm saying.
Another quick point here from that very first scene too. Talia showed a lot of cleavage in front of Daddy.
Talia always.
They've got a weird. Yeah, in the Batman the Animated Series, I remember she was wearing like a really kind of seductress type outfit when she goes and slaps the Ra's after he comes out of the.
Well, how else are you going to seduce Batman? Crazy. Also, I don't know if you remember this, but there's an episode of I think it's Batman Beyond. It's got to be. But yeah, it definitely is. But he, Talia comes back and Ra's is dead, and she seduces Batman again, kind of thing, Bruce again, and is trying to convince him to like go into the pits and like be young again with her.
I do remember.
And it turns out it's Ra's al Ghul. It's not even her body. He took her body, and then the plan was for him to like take Batman's body. He wanted Batman to be like young and vibrant again, or like so he could like transfer again and be in his Batman's body. And I'm just like, you made out with him. That's weird. Now I see what's going on here. Ra's al Ghul, there's a lot going on there.
Yeah, but I feel like it kind of
Batman. There's a lot going on there. I'm just saying. Yeah, it's not that weird.
The weird thing too about, and again, going back to, I think Patrick made this comment about the pacing being kind of weird and the narrative a little bit confused, but so we first see Flash and Wonder Woman dealing with flames in the forest, and I thought this was all part of Raz's plan, but then you find out it wasn't.
Yeah.
It was just Martian Manhunter on fire.
Yeah, so he
like
gets hit
crazy.
first.
Yeah.
He gets hit with nanites or something that bond to his skin and make it burst into flame. In the movie, he gets poisoned with similar thing. Like he sweats it out. It's not like nanites or whatever. It's just chemical. But similar effect kind of thing. But he doesn't, like I guess he's flying and he gets hit by some missile that coats him in these nanites, and then he crashes in the forest on fire. And later on, Raish is like, I'm gonna have to punish Talia for letting him just haphazardly fall into a natural forest that didn't need to be burned to the ground, kind of thing. And I'm like, damn, this is your plan, dude.
This
letting him crash to the ground.
This is one of the beats of the art that kind of like, so there's a Human Torch looking person in the woods. Wonder Woman and Flash are trying to stop him. So Wonder Woman like has a tree trunk in her arms, and in one panel the short end is like closer to her body and the longer part of the tree's behind her, but then the next panel she's swinging it and it's like the tree trunk has reversed and the short end is in her hands and the longer part's in front of her. And then he catches it, Martian Manhunter catches the short end, but then the next
swings it around and smacks Flash with it.
But no, how is it?
Does it? It's over his right shoulder, and the next panel...
he grabs it. Oh, yeah, with the positioning of his arm.
They're just switching the grip.
Yeah.
They're just switching the grip. You can do that.
Yeah, you can't, like, grab a baseball bat and turn it around in your hands real fast.
I'm just saying there's just...
That's all it is to them.
If you look at these trunk, but like... It's four panels, and I just feel like they could have made it way more clear about what the fuck was happening.
Yeah, if she was like reaching back and grabbing it at the base and then swinging around, that would make a more seamless movement. It
implies that
the one where he, aside from him grabbing it over his shoulder, which is weird, the one where he swings it to hit Flash makes more sense, I think. Although that is weird that it's over his shoulder and then under his shoulder.
Yeah, under his shoulder. And then, I was like, what the fuck is going... Like, it was just like, there's a lot of beats like that with the art where I'm like, if you just spent a little bit more time, this would be way more clear about what's... especially like in the action pieces. But anyways.
I do like the little cute, like, Wonder Woman's like, I'll race you. And he's like, you're on. Wally's like, what the fuck? And then he's like, you're on. And then she's like, I warn you, the gods granted me the speed of Mercury. And he's like, oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were fast. Like kind of, I don't know. It was a little cute. And then he's waving at her and just fucking around, which is why he gets smacked by a tree. Pay attention, Wally.
Yeah. And then the next part, and this is the other thing too that I thought was strange about all the different methods they use. So next up is Aquaman.
Well, hold on a second. They put the fire out, and I just want to bring up that Martian Manhunter's like a Ken doll down there. He doesn't have anything going on.
We knew that, didn't we?
It's a shapeshifter.
He can make it. He can form whatever he wants.
Oh, is that what he did? He was on fire, so he made his dick go away?
I don't know. Wasn't there a whole sex scene in the Martian Manhunter?
But he could remake it.
Like, I don't think they
remake it.
He could form it. Like, he can make his shape.
Oh, I'm aware. I'm aware. I'm just saying it's a little strange. That's all.
I don't think
he has the wherewithal while burning to death to be like, I shouldn't have my dick out.
No, I don't think
it's a little weird.
Tucked it.
Right?
I don't think he tucked it.
Well,
I think he does.
I think it would naturally, if you're on fire. Yeah, if you're on fire, I think it would naturally go inside.
You're just like, I'm going to put my dick away if I'm on fire.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. I buy it. I'm just thought it was a point we should bring up.
If you look at it, I mean, he also sort of put his eyeballs away.
No, that's just shadow.
He did it,
He has classically huge brow. I really liked in the animated series when they made him more like alien with the length of his head, going back. I like that look for Martian. Every time they go, and not too much more, but like I like when they go a tad bit more alien looking than just a green dude that's bald with a slightly overemphasized brow, kind of thing. I think it's more interesting when Martian Manhunter looks a little more alien.
A side note, because it's kind of fits into this, but it is weird how like he's in different versions, like more alien and not and all that, and like longer head and all that. However, Miss Martian is always an attractive 19-year-old.
Well, yeah, she wants to be a person, though. She wants to be a human.
I get, but I just thought it was funny. I think there was a Young Justice when like she and Superboy were together, and she turned into her horrifying form, and he's like,
Yeah.
well, "I love you. I love you for who you are." And then like the next episode, though, she's back to just being attractive at 19.
Yeah, he's like, but change back.
Yeah, he's like, but I do. He's
I love
like,
you for who you are, but please never do that again.
Yeah,
it's
I know,
not
that's kind of funny. Because after he's like, I accept you for who
can you
you
go
are.
back to the mini skirt and the tight shirt? Thanks.
He's like, I will need you to be in that crop top next
episode. Yeah, please.
Yeah. But so next up is Aquaman and Plastic Man.
They're kind of having a fun like back and forth of like they're kind of working together, but not really. You know, like I mean they are, but you can tell Aquaman kind of finds him annoying, kind of thing.
Well, the thing that about the way that Aquaman gets taken out is he gets hit with Scarecrow fear gas, basically.
Yeah, the same as.
But my thing is like, why not do that to like? Why does everybody have all these other things when you could just fear gas everybody? Right? Like, why do they have to have different things?
I think the point. I think the point is of like what he's afraid of. I guess that would work for everybody.
But you could make the Green Lantern afraid of the ring. You could make the Flash afraid of running fast. You could like, why can't you just make them all afraid of something?
I mean, you
Batman
could
cop out and just say that, like, because I thought about this with the Wonder Woman thing. It's like, why not give everyone a VR simulation where they don't know what's going on? But they kind of specifically say that the Wonder Woman thing was he was preying off of the fact that she's like really competitive and
she's and won't back down from a fight.
So I'm just going to assume that the methods he used. You know, the fear gas probably would have worked on everyone, but like Superman,
fear gas wouldn't work on Superman.
They've gotten over.
So that's not work. That one's out.
And it might not work
on Wally either.
It might not work on Manhunter because he's alien and he can also.
And it might not. And it wouldn't work on Wally either. We're already 3 for 3. It wouldn't work on.
So yeah, I just kind of was like, it's Batman. Batman's super smart, so there must be reasons why they're all different. You know.
Yeah, and I think it's like maybe it's simplicity's sake, like. Freezing Plastic Man. I don't think fear gas would work on Plastic Man either, by the way. Freezing Plastic Man and smashing him is a lot more effective than keeping him like gassed and thinking something's going on.
Well, that's another one. Isn't freezing and chiseling that would work on everybody, right?
No. Again, I don't think that would work on Aquaman. I don't think that would work on Wonder Woman. I don't think that would work on Superman. I don't think that would work on Martian Manhunter. Like, I don't think that would work on almost
work on the super strong ones. No, that's true. That's true.
Which is 90%
Aquaman's
of the team.
Personality was funny. His whole thing is kind of like he's an asshole, but also a loyal friend. So he'll go from one frame,
a loyal
like very
super friend.
And
Patrick?
yeah, Leonard super friend. He'll be like talking about how friendship is so important and trust is so important, and then he'll be ripping on them like 2 panels later over the dumbest shit.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
he comes off as like a lunatic in this. I don't know. I think is that another reason why it didn't hold up is because these characters have all evolved over the last 25 years. That the way we know them now, they're kind of caricatures of themselves in this storyline. Like,
yeah, kind of, yeah.
Could be, yeah.
Even Wonder Woman was just kind of.
Also, Howard Porter draws every like henchman or bad guy or bystander as like a spiky-haired dude with a goatee and earrings and like usually bandanas tied around their heads. I thought it was a very interesting choice. just throughout, they all look like they're members of a boy band from the 90s.
Yeah.
Every single one. I'm just like, interesting. That guy, like the one that killed the tiger, like, like everyone's just like, why do you look like that?
Well, a lot of Ra's al Ghul minions too have goggles. Like they'll have that goggle, but not wearing them. They'll have the goggle on their forehead.
Very Digimon, whatever.
Yeah. Well, he's about to go skiing, I think.
Also, when was Aquaman?
He's also got a wallet chain. What the fuck is this dude? This is so elaborate for a henchman, dude. Just draw them like with ski masks on and faceless assassin villains. That's all you needed to do.
He is wearing an Apple Watch.
What about? He's wearing a very early version of an Apple Watch. That's where they got it. That's where they got it from. They stole his design, Howard Porter's design, to the Apple Watch.
Also, I didn't know. Like, did you guys know that Aquaman has to be wet all the time? I didn't know that.
So he does. They do that. First of all, within every hour, I feel like that was like a high number. I don't feel like I've heard that before, ever since the storyline kind of thing. But like, yeah, eventually he gets like he needs water because he's an aquatic being. So like that's always been a thing, like since literally back with the Super Friends. Anyway, but like I don't know if that's how prevalent that is in his comic, but he's also often underwater in his own comic. So I don't know, like, you know, but there'd be times when like the Justice League would be doing something and he'd be like, I gotta go swim in the ocean, you know, kind of thing. And like in Justice League special, you know, annuals or whatever, and they had like a breakdown of the Watchtower or like a bisection of the Watchtower or something, there'd always be like, and here's the underground water pool where Aquaman swims all the time, you know, like they always go out of their way to be like, there's a lot of water up there on the moon for Aquaman kind of thing. But like maybe they just don't mention it until they want to use it in the storyline to fuck them up kind of thing. Anyway, I think it's interesting that they put everybody into Bacta tanks like in Star Wars to heal them. That's the go-to like futuristic healing technique. Is just
put him in a
tank of water.
Put him in a tank.
Aquaman's getting fucked up. Put him in a tank of water. Martian Manhunter's fucked up. Put him in a tank of water.
And next is we get that scene Patrick was talking about where everybody's freaking out and they're like, Batman, we're in trouble, and he's just saying, leave me alone.
Batman's doing
first we're back on the
like Yellow Jacket, showing his taint off.
Yeah, he's doing Captain America Yellow Jacket.
I was gonna say he's ultimate Captain it up right now. I like that he's initially wearing a jacket, like a fur lined collared jacket,
and then immediately not.
And then like immediately he's just wearing the second he's inside the helicopter, he doesn't have the jacket on anymore.
Well, we can go his costume, the physics of his costume don't make a lot of sense in this storyline. There's another moment where I'm like, that makes no sense that his costume was able to do that.
We also skipped the fact that they get back to the Watchtower, and Wally puts Plastic Man back together, but they don't know what to do, I guess, after that. And then, because he's not just like reforming or whatever. And then, I don't know, it's something about Aquaman with the fear toxin thing. I'm just like, that would work if you're like separated and not immediately saved by like your friends, but like isn't like Scarecrow like a well-known villain, and isn't there like fear toxin antidotes like available? Like
Nope.
So just Batman has them and he holds them all to the side because just in case he ever has to next plan.
Probably.
All right. Okay. All right. I buy it. I'm just saying. I'm just like that's a little. Also, just like. I mean, the Aquaman thing, I'm just like, Wonder Woman's there, Superman's there. Like, no offense, but crack him over the head so he gets knocked out. And
that's what I was thinking.
Like, I don't like put him in a tank of water when he's knocked out. Just knock him out. He's like a patient that won't take the medicine. You know, like just jab him with a needle, make him pass out.
Okay, but in Aquaman's defense, I feel like he kept his shit together pretty well. Given that he was freaking out.
I mean, he's slapping glasses of water away from his minions, going like, get that away from me! And I don't know if he's holding it together well enough when they get him up to the Watchtower, but like, if he's that scared of water, that's the thing. Like, I feel like he has the wherewithal to be like, put something in my veins to make me pass out so you can pour fucking water on my body or put me in a tank of water. You know, like, I don't think it's that. He's there enough to like recognize that he's irrationally scared of the thing he needs. So like, well, I don't know. So that one seems so solvable, I guess is what I'm saying. I'm like, I don't understand why this is a problem. If he was by himself and freaking out, sure. But like, I don't know. It just seems like that was an easy fix. Sorry. Anyway, Batman's a dick. And then on a helicopter. And he gets a clue.
I kind of laughed. Superman calls Batman. Batman basically tells him to fuck off because he's busy. And so Batman hangs up on him. And Superman goes, Batman, that's not like him. And then Wally goes, how can you tell? And Superman goes,
because we're friends,
because
Wally.
We're friends, Wally. We're friends. Maybe you should get some friends, you fucking loser.
Maybe because I know him outside of the cape and cowl, Wally. Do you ever think of that? Maybe I know who he is, Wally. I think he goes out of his way to be like, I know who you are, dick. You know, like kind of thing.
Wally.
Wally's he's the he's the original I don't give a fuck about a super identity kind of thing, and I always loved that about that comic. Also, I'm as much as Mark Waid dropped the ball in this, and I don't think this is a well-written story. He is the beginning of My Name is Wally West and the Fastest Man Alive on The Flash, and I love every single issue that started with. And they ripped it off for the show, and a million times otherwise. And they gave it to Barry, and I'm like, don't give that to Barry. That's Wally's line.
So back to this. So Ra's al Ghul's costume choice.
Okay, yes, let's talk about it.
So wait, before his costume choice, can I just say, like, he's got all these computers, he's got a little headset on, he's doing all this stuff, and he chooses to hold a photograph with little red X's drawn on for the Justice League. when he's like, you're gonna see him taking out a marker and going, eep, eep. Got him. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah, costume.
No, so
the deep V.
The first
so
scene,
it's a very deep V.
He's in his traditional like suit with cloak over it, like that, like
sure,
series. And then this is a harsh departure from that, where it's a skin tight green suit.
He's more relaxed. This is his.
And it's a deep V that goes all the way down to his crotch. So his big hairy chest and abs are hanging out. And I was looking at it and I thought that's very much it's JLo's 2000s Grammy dress that she wore that caused all that controversy. And then I was like, did that designer steal Howard Porter's costume? And then I looked at it, and JLo wore that dress February of 2000, and these issues came out like in August of 2000.
So they copied JLo's dress.
Raza.
No.
Yeah, totally.
No. This is Ra's al Ghul wears a deep V-neck all the time.
Not this
like
deep.
The 70s.
Down to his crotch like that.
I mean, not down to his crotch, maybe, but like he wears like the deep cut V, like down to his belly button, like all the time. That's like super normal.
The question I have is like, what is the tactical, or why as a supervillain is?
It's just so you can Magnum PI some hairy chest.
He's got a beautiful body, so I mean.
Every once in a while, you got to show your followers who's in charge.
Got to show
and what better way to do that, Al, than the deep V?
Like it's down to his bush is hanging out. It's got to be, well, unless he probably.
I mean,
he shaves. He probably escapes. He escapes down there.
There's no fucking way he shaves. He's
all right. And then,
man.
So the last point,
he's all natural.
Last point I wanted to make about this issue, Clark. This Clark Kent, like in this panel, when he's looking at stuff, I mean, he's got real swagger to him. That is not the mild-mannered Clark Kent. Like he comes in.
You don't think quietly walking across the room with your hands behind your back is demure?
He is looking at that screen like he's Superman at the Watchtower, looking at monitors.
I suppose so, yeah.
I like a little bit more, divergence between my.
What do you want, like him leaning on something behind him, like?
No, I just want him kind of hunched over with glasses, going like, "Oh, I'm a little mild-mannered man,"
Man, we haven't I mean, and that was not a thing in the comics, man. They didn't try. Like, I feel like the first person to really actually do a good job at that in like modern comics was like the Grant Morrison All-Star Superman, where quietly was like, I'm going to make him like huge, but crumpled suit and tiny, kind of, and like maybe Superman for All Seasons too. But like, even that Superman was kind of like bumble hick boy. But like, like, I don't know. I think quietly did a good job of being like, I'm Superman. I don't know, I'm Clark Kent, like kind of thing.
Yeah.
But I don't think like, man, it wasn't really a thing. They were just like, yeah, he's just gonna walk around like Superman and put on his glasses and no one knows. Like,
Yeah.
Not that that's a good thing. It's not a defense. It's just like no one really did that. They just kind of drew him normally.
Yeah, but at the Daily Planet, we find out that everybody is suddenly dyslexic, and the written word.
First, he takes away visual language. Then he takes away spoken language.
Which
it's his Tower of Babel plan. You know what Vandal Savage's plan was? I'm gonna ignite a bomb in the sun that's gonna rip the planet in half, and 2/3 of the people will die. Much cooler plan. That's all I'm saying.
Well, why did he have to take out? If that's the plan, can't he just do that with the Justice League on Earth anyway?
No, they'd stop it.
How would you stop a detonated bomb in the sun?
They practically do it with them doing the plan. They do it. They stop it after he does the plan.
I don't. The plan is just press the button and detonate it, right? Like, just do that.
No, he'd send a missile up, and they'd be like, "There's a missile going. We got to stop that." You know, like kind of like it'd be done in 5 seconds.
They wouldn't. There's 19 SpaceX launches a day. They wouldn't notice.
Oh, I did want to mention this before we get any further. One huge piece of that movie that I thought was brilliantly done that they completely do not do in any way, shape, or form in this book is that it shows like Vandal Savage sent like the Royal Flush Gang. It's irrelevant. He does like a thief, like a break-in job to draw the Justice League there, but specifically Batman. So Mirror Master can go into like the rear view mirror of the Batmobile and sneak into the Batcave. And that's how he gets them. They don't show Ra's al Ghul get the plans in any way, shape, or form. Like he just has them. And I'm just like, what a cool little beat where he has to sneak into the Batcave to get the plans and then get out. And he's like in there and he's like, I could totally find out who Batman is. And he's like, that's irrelevant. I don't give a fuck about that. Also, I already know who he is. Also, get the fuck out of there with the plans because that's more important kind of thing. And I was like, I love that beat of there's a villain in the Batcave and he is like, fuck, fine. I'll just go back in the Batcave or the Batmobile. You know, there was like a really cool, like interesting part of the story where I was just like, where they actually had to get the plans in the first place.
Well, they do that.
That was just not addressed in this in any way, shape, or form.
There was
Batman has plans and Ra's al Ghul got them. You know.
Well, there was apparently an annual side issue that goes into more detail of Raz's.
Yeah, Talia goes in to get some, I think, or whatever.
Yeah, but it's not part of this story arc. But there is like a side issue.
Yeah, but like to tack that on after the fact, it's like, eh.
I think all they say in this story arc is when they're arguing at the end about voting him out, one of the people in support of Batman is like, can you imagine how hard it must have been to get those plans? It's like, well, it could have been harder, I guess.
Apparently not.
But anyway.
Apparently it wasn't that hard.
And also at the end of the issue, we see that Green Lantern is blind.
Also, weird page. It doesn't look at the hair. I have to say, like, whatever Howard Porter looked at to draw that image of Kyle blind. It's not his haircut. It's not how he's drawn in any other panel throughout the entire books. Like, I don't understand like what that is. Also, Kyle is just like hypnotized into thinking that he's blind or whatever.
Yeah.
So why are his pupils gone? You know, like it doesn't like physically. Why has he changed? You know, it doesn't make any sense.
Well, because the ring does have physical. I don't know.
So it's like covering over his eyes.
Although they're not green, everything else the ring does is green. I don't know why they're.
Well, not necessarily because they make their suits out of the green sometimes. I mean, in some story arcs, I don't think.
Also, Wonder Woman is in a green hoodie, and green like isn't her color palette. It's just weird that.
I think that's for the reveal when she rips it to shreds and gets half naked into her costume later.
Yeah, but it's just a weird. Anyway, but that's the end of the issue.
Yeah.
End of the issue.
All right. So next is issue 44.
Yeah. So this is where Ra's al Ghul's standing, clutching his. There's a lot of cape clutching.
He's clutching it all, but you know what? I would be doing that as well if I had a cape.
Would you? Would it be so? Is it self-consciousness from like having the
deep maybe?
You're like you're constantly like, why don't I gesture with my cape a lot so I'm not
a safety blanket?
Then maybe just don't wear the deep feet. What are you doing? Put your suit on, you fucking weirdo. He's like, I gotta hold this cape in front of my crotch. I don't want anybody looking at it. Like, maybe then don't wear super tight tights with a deep V down to your dick.
For the theatrics, Batman does well. Back in these times, Batman would always kind of.
Oh yeah, he also clutched his cape a lot, but I mean that's Batman, not Ra's al Ghul. Yeah.
So this, issue 2 of Tower of Babel. This is JLA number 44. The title is Seven Little Indians. Do you all know what that's a reference to?
And then there were none.
That's correct. That is an Agatha Christie, and then there were none reference.
I nailed that.
Yeah. Controversial. So the original title of that book in 1939 was 10 Little Racial Slur for Black People.
Oh,
But that was a very controversial title, and so for the
I
US
wonder why.
was
yeah.
it? Was it controversial?
So for the US release, they named it And Then There Were None.
Wait, what?
Yeah. So the
For the
conceit of the
US
book is it's a murder mystery book, and the conceit is there's 10 little model people like at the home,
Yeah.
and every time someone is murdered, one of the models is like taken from
Knocked
the
over
room.
or broken. Or
And in the original book, those models were of a certain type of person.
Mhm.
And then it was changed to a different type of person, like the First Peoples, which is why it was Little Indians. And then they just made it like people, it went through
I had
different
no idea
versions
about
of
that.
Yeah, it went through different versions of being less horribly racist
Less horribly racist. Okay.
throughout time. But that's why the title is And Then There Were None, and not 10 little pick
Also,
a racial slur.
Behind Ra's al Ghul is a guy with spiky hair, long sideburns, and a flavor saver goatee. And then behind him to the other side is a guy
Look
with
at these
slicked back spiky hair with a classic evil, I'm an evil guy goatee. And then Batman beats two people up coming in.
Yeah,
two
look at these
guys
two
with spiky hair.
Goggles.
and they've
And
got
little
goggles on their
fucking
head.
goatees.
Goggles on their head and maybe it's just the Ra's al Ghul
What is happening?
uniform.
There's another guy behind Ra's in the
Ra's-
bottom left panel of that same page, and it's doing the same thing. Like, what the fuck? Every guy has like this spiky. I don't know.
He's got a type. Ra's has
Also,
a
what's
type.
with the different types of like? What's the ski goggle versus the Starman goggles?
I don't know. They all have different goggles.
You can spice it up a little bit. You can make yourself an individual in the, there's a
Also,
uniform.
I haven't read
It's
And
kinda
There
like,
There Were None since I
kind
was
of like
like
Gossip Girl.
12,
so like in
so-
Gossip Girl, like everyone had to wear a school uniform, but you could all put your like
Yeah, but they all
little,
spiced it up a little bit, you know?
sass and yeah, exactly.
It must be like that.
You can pick between one of these 3 or 4 different kinds of goggles. You're allowed to have a headband, varying colors, whatever you want to choose. Also, any kind of wristwear is allowed. Bracelets, watches, that kind of thing.
Types of
Otherwise, uniform.
ties.
Otherwise, uniform.
No.
Another thing I wanted to bring up. So with Raz's threat of the Lazarus Pit, so
Mhm.
Batman could have revived his parents at any point in time.
I think they would
No,
come back
you don't know what
as
the
like
fuck's gonna
zombies,
happen,
right?
man. Yeah.
they'd be like
I don't think that's
they'd be
gonna end well.
skeletons.
Yeah. I don't
Yeah,
think
but
that's
it's
gonna
such a
end
traumatizing thing. Like, why not give it a shot? See if it works.
well, I
'Cause
think
didn't they put-
classically you can't be like full on dead, right? Like you
Yeah.
have to be put into
don't
it
really
like
know.
as you're dying or like,
Well, how dead
It
was
only-
Jason Todd when he got thrown?
That only worked because of Superboy Prime punching the wall.
Yeah,
Because
he
he
punched
punched
reality.
reality. He
Yeah, he
punched
punched
reality
reality.
through the wall or whatever.
Everybody does
Duh.
that. When you punch
Duh.
obviously when you punch reality. Come on. Such an
Everyone
easy
knows
answer.
that the pocket universe they were put in, the walls, if you hit them hard enough, it affects reality and resurrects people from the dead.
Anyway,
if they're
we
in the
we have
Lazarus
a
pit.
we cut back to Kyle, and so anyway, Batman confronts Ra's and he's like, "Oh, you found me 2 seconds earlier than I thought you were going to. Anyway, here's your parents. I don't just beat the crap out of Ra's al Ghul and get your parents down right now. Like, what are you doing?"
Well, maybe he's got a button he could press. I don't know. Maybe he's got a button he could press.
Yeah, he's not really wielding a dead man switch or anything though.
I
right now.
agree. If I was I agree. He should have just beaten him up.
But we cut
I
back
take
to
it back.
so we cut back briefly to Wally and Kyle and Wonder Woman, and then and then also Aquaman. And again, why is Aquaman awake? Why is he in a tank of water like everybody else? Like, I just
Well,
don't
because
get
he
it.
figured out the signal devices were used to track them. I mean, that was important information.
That was important. Yeah, you need him talking, I guess.
It was
and
important
then-
because they used that information to
Just
continue
knock
to
the
be
fucker
tracked.
out.
to do
Or
absolutely
he
nothing.
he should willfully go under anesthesia so they could stick him in a tank of water.
Yeah.
It's just funny because
I'm not going to stop about it. It's an easily solvable problem.
But it's funny because the image is just this frantic Aquaman describing things that they already know and that they can't change.
Yeah.
He's
Yeah.
just like wandering around freaking out like they're tracking us with our transmitters, and they're like, yeah, we know, buddy, it's happened. Like it's already too late.
Well, they didn't know. No.
Also, Wonder Woman, Flash, and Green Lantern get attacked, and Wonder Woman immediately takes her clothes off. Just
Well,
rips
she's
them
got
right
Yeah, I
off.
told you.
Be
She
fight
rips.
ready,
she,
you know?
He says.
Yeah.
He says, "Suit up." No one is.
Suit
No
up.
one's
Suit
safe.
down.
Suit up.
Yeah, more like suit down, but
She's like civilian attire. I don't need this. I like how she doesn't
like this sweatsuit.
I like how she just doesn't unzip the hoodie. She's just like, fuck it, rips it to shreds. Wally's costume going on looks kind of cool though. I'm pissed that Wally. Anytime somebody shoots a gun of any kind and Wally gets like hit in any way, shape, or form, I'm like, what the fuck? Like the man can move at near light speed. Like what? How? Like the second they kick the door open and go shoot, like it should just be like, and I got you in. Like kind of. I don't even understand like why.
But that's the perennial. But that's the perennial Flash problem. Is if you actually treat him like he should be treated, there's nothing to do. He just always wins. But
unless you're up against another speedster, which is why he has so many.
But they can't do that, and so they have to have him slip on an ice puddle or get hit by a tree or, whatever.
Also, there's a kid that falls onto a subway track. And he doesn't know that the third rail's electrified. Yeah. And I swear to God, based on the image before I got there reading, because when you flip the page, you see Superman saving him. And it looks like he's stopping a fucking train from hitting the kid. But he's just ripping the subway platform apart. He's not stopping. Like, I thought he was stopping a fucking train from hitting the kid. And then when I read it, he's like, oh, he was literally just stopping the kid from touching the third rail.
It was as if he was underground and came up from underneath.
Yeah, he did. So he burst up from underground. Yeah.
He does. He bursts up from underground. I don't know. And that makes no sense. Well, it's an elevated train, but so he's coming up from underneath it. But still, it doesn't make any sense. And also, right after that, he goes, "Attention, everyone! Transit service has been suspended." I'm like, "Yeah, because you ripped the fucking tracks apart." Like, you could have just saved the kid. Anyway, thought it was really funny.
Back to so then Superman's talking to Oracle about like what's going on that no one can read language, and like Joe, back to your point earlier, JLA, and even in like the mid to late 2000s, they still would do this with like the super sciencey talk.
Mm-hmm.
And so Superman and Oracle are trying to figure out what's happening, and she's like, use your supervision, and he's like
ultraviolet wave or something.
Yeah.
Ultrasound. Like, are you good at spotting ultrasound? She says.
Between angstrom units 0.004 and 005, do you see anything? And Superman's like, a sine wave. Now that you mention it, I can hear it too. It's just
like we all can.
There's a lot of like
I like the interjection of like actual science into some shit when it's like superpowered stuff going on, but not when you're like also throwing people into giant tanks of water to be like they're being healed. Like that doesn't make, it's like don't bring science in when you're also doing all this crazy shit. Yeah. I was reading so this deluxe version has Mark Waid's first 2 stories in it also. He did like 2-issue runs here and there to fill in for Justice League. So he did like issue 1819. He did like, a few others. But I read the first 2 thinking, I was just like, oh, is this leading into Tower of Babel? And then I was like, oh shit, I don't need to read this right now. And I skipped to Tower of Babel. But I read the first 2, and it was one where like essentially Mark Waid had watched some like documentary or something, and he's like, that's a fascinating thing to write about. So he just made this whole giant like probability science problem happen. And then he's like, and in his introduction to the book, he's like talking about it. He's like, everything that Adam says in that is actually real, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, that's kind of cool, but also weirdly forced into a story about superheroes. Yeah. Where like, I don't know. I like it and I don't like it, but it just seems no one talks like that. Like, or maybe Oracle does.
Oracle might talk like that.
Yeah,
but no.
But it's not like Superman had like a dial in his brain that's like, oh, let me get between 0.00.
Yeah, that's the part that doesn't make sense. Is how can he know to look between the right?
Yes,
with that degree of specificity.
Like, try to narrow your gaze into the ultrasound era, or like wavelength, and if he was like, okay, I got it, like that would be fine. But like to be like, it's within this and this, and give numbers. I'm like, what? It's not like he has like an overlay Iron Man screen. That's
no, you just squint a little.
Got it.
He's just squinting a little.
Squinting a little bit more. A little bit more.
Just a little bit. When he sees
yeah.
It is. I do think it's kind of a cool Wonder Woman beat, although it's been done a lot of times. But when the VR woman she's fighting says, like, I don't think you can beat me, but you're welcome to try. And Wonder Woman just kind of like wipes the blood off her lips and says, thanks for the permission. It's kind of a cool, like, warrior beat.
Very Prometheus looking random villain that Howard Porter also designed Prometheus. So very, very similar looking bad.
I think you meant Prometheus, the alien, like Ridley Scott movie. I was like, what? You mean Prometheus?
No, the JLA villain.
Yes.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So Flash gets shot a second time in the neck.
Yeah, so he gets hit by whatever, like, I don't know, concussive force they shot at them all when they opened the door. And then after that, they're like, shoot the Flash again. And I'm just like, again? Again, the wrist bolt thing with the bomb attached to it, much more fun in the movie. I was like, I don't remember Flash's... I think I even remember reading the storyline originally, and he gets hit by that thing, and I'm like, he'd get out of that so fast. Like, this is dumb.
But so he gets hit by like an epilepsy bullet that makes him go
he's
into
experiencing epileptic seizures at light speed. Something attaches to it. So I did like the thought process of, like, the second the bullet starts to hit him, he vibrates, like, instinctively,
right?
Which was cool beat. And then, like, but then that's what they wanted it to happen, and it attaches to a spine or something, and, like, causes, him to have epileptic seizures. But that being said, later on when he's finally free, he's like, oh, that's excruciating. There was entire days where I was just, like, hoping I could die. He goes, like, that was, like, the worst. And he's like, how long was I in there for? And Martian Manhunter's like, 22 minutes. He's like, fuck. Like, kind of thing. And I was like, that's kind of off. There's like little tiny beats with the Flashes, one that I'm like, oh, okay, that was kind of cool.
And then
Superman,
it's just
Superman protects Metropolis, and then just he's like, they're safe anyway. Moving on, which I thought was funny.
And then Kyle does a cool little energy, like a Final Flash energy.
Yeah, that was kind of cool. He was like, I can't see, and they're like, he's done. Who cares about him? And he's like, oh, I'm done. Fuck you. And he just, like, goes crazy with his ring and starts blasting shit.
And you go, oh,
which could easily hit Wally or Wonder Woman.
Look at Talia's goggle game. She's got goggles on her head too.
I mean, she's got the goggles. Also, most of those henchmen, spiked up wavy hair guys with facial hair.
I will say Howard Porter's art on page 14, after Kyle kind of summons that weird deformed, I don't know what construct that is. With
anime guy?
Yeah, it's like a weird Atom Boy devil thing.
Yeah,
but
I don't know what that is. Yeah.
The next panel after that, if you look in the very bottom,
listen, guys, he can't see what he's drawing, okay? He doesn't know what the fuck that is.
Always vibrating and looks like a ghost.
Yeah. Looks like a screaming ghost.
That's horrifying.
So good job there.
Yeah, I thought it was funny, like, it goes, like all artists, he must see what he wants to draw. And in my brain, I was just like, I can draw without looking at the paper. It's something you do when you're in art school.
Well, especially if it's a ring that's just like
draw without looking at the paper. It's like a thing.
Like, if the ring is just manifesting what you're thinking of, then
yeah, I don't like. Isn't the ring doing all the work? Does he actually have to see it come together? Like, can he just imagine in his brain and then it happens? At the very least, like,
he's the visual artist.
I'd be like, Wally, Diana, come closer to me, and then just put a bubble around us, or something. Yeah. Like, you could have done something without, like, needing to see.
He gets blasted in the back, and I like how he just goes, oh, like he just flails. Oh, that was all.
Yeah, that's definitely the sound he makes. Yeah.
And my other favorite part of this issue is, and I'm skipping forward a little bit because then the Martian Manhunter wearing an Aquaman suit comes in to help and all that. But my favorite part is when Ra's al Ghul tells Batman, he reveals the red kryptonite, and Batman realizes that Ra's al Ghul stole his plans.
Yeah.
And then for whatever reason, Batman, I guess he escapes because he wants to communicate. But anyway. My favorite panel is as Batman is running away and Ra's al Ghul says, don't let him leave. He's just clutching his little cape with both hands.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. There's a lot of cape clutching. There's a lot of, like, fists of cloth.
But it's like, I don't know.
Can you not think of anything else to do with his hands, Howard? Like,
Yeah,
what are
but
you
it's
doing?
like I don't know, it's like an antebellum or like a Victorian lady holding her skirts with both hands. He's like, "Don't let him leave," as he's running after. I thought it was cute.
Also, isn't Wonder Woman's tiara thing like impossible to wield, like kind of like Captain America's shield? Like the fact that Talia chucks that at Martian Manhunter and it works, like
Maybe
isn't
she's
that, like,
pure of heart, bro.
Yeah,
isn't that like
maybe.
fucking hard to do? I could be wrong. Maybe it's like, no, you just chuck it, it's fine, and
Yeah.
it's a weapon. But like, I feel like it was like a thing where like it's so ridiculous, only she can really do it, kind of thing. Like it's not really like something that normal people can just be like, I pick this up and throw it at you.
Talia's
Well,
no
I mean, we
normal
see
person,
Talia act nobly later. Maybe she is pure of heart, and she's able
maybe.
to lift the tiara.
Maybe. Yeah, you got to be pure of heart to lift the tiara.
The tiara.
But so right, and this issue ends with Superman getting red. Is this the first use of red kryptonite?
No,
Was this where it? No, it's
God.
always been around.
No, ancient times, ancient. Like that's like
I
the fucking
did
50s. they were doing multicolored kryptonite.
I did like how Talia explained the red kryptonite to
I loved
Superman,
that. That was cool
because it did kind
like
of
the increase
hint.
in artificially increasing the half-life of the kryptonite to become red versus green. I thought was cool.
Well,
Is that
when
what
she
you're
goes
talking
into just how she goes, it's a very special piece. The man it belongs to performed a series of experiments on it. He managed to accelerate the radioactive half-life as indicated by its color shift. His idea was to make it less lethal, but still crippling to the Kryptonian physiology, to discover what sort of unpredictable changes it might wreak in your cellular structure. According to his notes, it may not kill you, but you'll wish you were dead. So, like, Batman wrote that shit in his notes. Like, he specifically made it like a torture
It's
device.
annoying. Again, I like that tidbit. I also find it obnoxious that Talia is sitting there reciting it to Superman. And I'm just like, it just seems shoehorned. This is the bad writing part. I love that the dialoog's there, or I like that beat is there, but I also am like, why the fuck would Talia be saying all this shit? She doesn't care.
I think she wants to wreck Batman's. She wants Batman all to herself, She wants to.
Yeah, it's a typical kind of like a manipulative relation. She wants to isolate him from his friends so that she's the only relationship he has. It's typical manipulative.
And then separate completely.
It's the Dennis. It's the Talia system. It's the Talia system. And this issue ends with basically Batman yelling at everybody like, "These were my plans," and he just
get out of there before it's too late.
Took him.
So what the red kryptonite does is it makes Superman's skin go away.
Well, I think it has a different effect every time.
Yeah,
right?
In the comics, classically in the comics, the red kryptonite affects him differently every time. Like you don't know how it's gonna.
I see.
But it's typically like along these lines where it's like an overwhelming amount of power, or like he doesn't know how to handle, or like sometimes they do that shit in like fucking Smallville. Like they'll be like, it's red kryptonite. We don't know how it's gonna...
It just made him lose all of his morals, right? And he was like
inhibitions, yeah. Oh yeah, he was like, I wear a black leather jacket.
I wear a leather jacket.
I don't wear red t-shirts and flannel.
And I wear
black
motorcycle.
Yeah. You're right.
Okay, issue 45.
45.
Great cover.
Did like
great cover, just weird look. Superman's just going.
The first page, though, it's like Aquaman's dehydrated, Kyle's blind, Flash is having epileptic seizures, Superman's skin is gone, Wonder Woman's in a fetal position, and then John just has like a little crack in his Aquaman suit. Like otherwise, he's fine, but he's sitting there. He's also recovering.
I like first the issue opens up with Batman faking his own death apparently, and they fall for it. Fucking
yeah, they are. I mean, going back to that initial tiger handler who fed it chocolate. I mean, Ra's al Ghul's henchmen they're like
dumb. Also, they're skiing and snowboarding down the mountain after Batman, and he's outrunning them
because
he's fucking Batman.
I feel like these are people that like even ICE wouldn't let into their ranks now. Like these are like ICE flunkouts that are in Ra's al Ghul's.
I mean,
he must be giving 50K bonuses and like not.
I mean, he's doing way more than
education.
That.
Yeah,
he's like, hey, by the way, when the world is whittled down to like X amount of people, like you guys you'll be in charge of a random state, maybe. You know?
Well, it's funny because later when the guy comes in and says like, "Oh, he's dead," and then Talia asks, "Well, did you see him die?" I bet you like that dude in his mind was like, "Oh shit, I didn't see him die." Fuck.
Except
I should have.
except that dude is Batman, and he's got
Yeah.
a mask on.
Yeah.
And when he leaves, he pulls the mask off, and his pointy ears come out of the mask.
And
Honestly-
but Patrick, the best part of all of
fuck?
that is he put that mask on just to get slapped by Talia. Like that's pretty. That's pretty kinky from his end. The only reason he did that was to get slapped.
He's like, I need to go inside and talk to Talia.
Yeah.
And then she slapped him, and he's like, all right.
So it's pretty kinky.
It's just funny because it's like he's completely smooth with the.
At least they didn't pull like a fucking like
mask.
Neil Adams version of a disguise where he just puts a baseball cap on over his cowl, and like you can't really see his eyes. Kind of, he just always looks down, and there's always shadow there. They don't see that there's a Batman mask on his face.
But we do. So we also get the start of kind of Plastic Man, MVP stuff going on.
Yeah.
So he's pieced himself back together. He helps out Aquaman.
Well, he's been in a Bacta tank the entire time, so he's healing up. He's got some moisture back in his body,
and he helps take the VR bug out of Wonder Woman. So he's helping out.
Yeah, and Martian Manhunter is like he puts on that suit and then tricks Aquaman into thinking that he's in a desert when he's really in a tank of water. And I'm like, do that first. Do that first before you did all the other stuff.
And then
do that part first.
Plastic Man removes the VR bug from Wonder Woman. And then the way they handled Wally's situation, so it's literally Superman's powers are so out of control that he's blasting heat vision through his hands into the floor because he can't control it.
Like melting
and then
stuff.
John is like, I can't use my heat vision in the suit, so Superman, you're gonna have to use your heat vision to burn this thing off of Flash's fucking spinal cord.
Yeah, and he's like, I got
they
it.
just go with it.
Yeah.
Like,
know what the best part is before that? He is like, wait, what does he say? The solar energy that powers him blazes directly and excruciatingly into his organs and muscles. It's everything Superman can do to keep from exploding with power. Which is why you have him inside this fucking space station. All the other heroes, like, what are you doing? He was down on the Earth. Just leave him, like, put him somewhere that he's not gonna rip a hole in the side of a fucking space station on the goddamn moon.
Well,
like,
that's
what are you doing?
my other complaint is it feels like after this moment, he's kind of just in control of his powers the rest of the arc.
It calms down. Well, yeah, he has to be like in,
kryptonite.
Kryptonite sickness. Like if he's not in constant contact with it, it starts to fade pretty quick. So I mean, and that makes sense. But like, I don't know. It's just one of those things where it's just like that seemed pretty like a quick recovery. Like he's like, I did this to you, Superman, and like 3 panels into the next issue, he's like, all right, let me pinpoint burn this tiny thing off of Flash's spine. Like, what the fuck? 2 panels earlier, you were just blasting the floor with heat vision.
Yeah, but the team kind of regroups, and this is where they discover that Kyle's blindness was brought on by his ring, and so he kind of tricks himself into seeing, and they all kind of regroup.
I like how they very subtly, not so subtly, hint at the fact that like the reason Kyle doesn't wear his ring is because he has nightmares. He's like, he doesn't want to turn his ring on in his sleep, and he's like, don't you get it? You woke up with your ring on. Remember, you're a scaredy cat. You get a little scared at night. You remember? You get all those night terrors? And he's like, oh yeah, thanks for remembering that. Also, there's this weird panel of Superman with his hands pressed up against the glass, and it's so weird. Because it's just he's just holding his hands up. It doesn't look like anything. It's so bizarre.
It's not just him, but behind him is Kyle, and like Kyle's posture is odd, and Kyle looks like
he's like looking at his hands because he's like getting his vision back.
But like, so look how big his hands are compared to the rest of his body, and look how small Kyle is compared to Plastic Man and Martian Man.
Plastic Man's all stretched out. Wonder Woman's taller than him. Flash is the same size. That's
but regular. It's just the art is just insane. The
Aquaman is
Kyle's
tall.
Are just odd.
I mean, not Aquaman. Martian Manhunter.
Martian Manhunter.
In an Aquaman suit, Yeah, I guess I don't know. I just thought the panel of Clark putting his hands up against the glass and like looking at the devastation down on the earth, which is what he's doing, and he's like kind of crying while he's like, "Oh my god, the world's ripping apart," which is kind of touching in a way. But the panel of him right before is just so badly drawn. I don't know. I was just like, what's happening?
Yeah, I don't know. I generally did not like the art in this run.
Maybe show that from further away. Don't worry about showing all the heroes behind him. Show Superman through the glass so you can tell that he's looking at the glass. I don't know. It just looks so strange with his hands up.
But so Batman, after going back just to get slapped by Talia to then leave immediately again, Batman steals the jet. And then he and Superman kind of meet up and they decide, even though Superman's mad, Batman's just kind of like, we got to figure this out and we're together. So they have Manhunter set up telepathic links with everybody so that they can communicate. And they go to the Antarctic or Arctic, whichever one, to fight.
Yeah, to stop the tower.
I like the panel, like when Batman's explaining everything to Superman, and then there's this like beat of just silence, and Batman's just staring at Superman. I just feel like it was a really awkward pause there. The way that Batman's face is drawn.
Clark is pissed.
He's not happy. He is not happy.
Batman keeps dropping hints about how much danger he's been in. Like the rest of the league doesn't care, and he's kind of like, "Anyways, I barely escaped." But
I know you guys are a little mad at me right now, but here's the plan. And then I love how every single one of them is like, "Why am I even listening to you right now?" I'm like, can't you recognize that that's shit you need to figure out later and focus on, like,
I mean, he did. It was a pretty big breach. I mean, they do that, but it was a big breach of trust, and I guess they're just.
Is it though?
It's pretty big. It's pretty big.
All right, we'll discuss that when we get there.
Yeah, we'll discuss it.
We'll discuss that when we get there.
I did like how they're in the Arctic and Plastic Man's like, "I'm freezing," and Kyle's like, "I've got you," and he just gives him a jacket. Meanwhile, Plastic Man doesn't have pants or anything. He's just like, "Thanks, Kyle." Could have made me some sweatpants, but
he doesn't need coat. He doesn't need pants.
I don't know. He seems pretty chilly.
Does Plastic Man even feel? I mean, obviously he does.
I don't know.
Does he even feel the cold? Like, is that like a thing?
Yes.
I think it's just plastic. It's just PTSD from when he got like nitroglycerin or whatever.
Yeah.
And so this is the part where, again, the narrative is just kind of messy. So they immediately destroy the tower, and people can.
I didn't understand.
But then Talia reveals, but there's actually poison canisters too. And
it seems like the last
they're going to set off a world war, and it's just okay.
Well,
so
it's kind of one of those things of like, the tower is broken, but it did its job and it's destabilized the planet, and there's about to be a war. I mean, like, and that part I get kind of, and they've sort of been lacing that through the issues of like, there's this conflict about to boil off, and like that's happening in the background, kind of like, but it's just not relevant enough to feel like it matters. You know what I mean? Like, kind of thing. And I don't know. It's just not super well done. I do love that Superman just goes like, "Get everybody out now," and Flash is like, "Oh shit," and he gets everybody out at light speed or whatever, and then Superman just rips the building apart with his heat vision.
So after that though, like, there's a close-up of Superman's boots.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, what the fuck is that? Is he not covered in blood?
It's not blood, right? It can't be blood.
It looks like blood.
Is it like melted? Is it supposed to be like melted metal? Like he just like burned it all down so fast and so quick that it's like.
Or did he just murder? Gone. Did he murder the people inside, and that's their blood?
It's just a really odd.
Well, Flash gets everybody out technically, so no. But I don't know. It just feels odd. I thought it was cool. Like,
is it Lazarus?
Or rather, maybe not. Is it? Yeah,
is it Lazarus Pit juice? I don't know. It's so weird.
That Lazarus Pit juice.
There's when the explosion happens and the tower gets like obliterated, Kyle puts up little shields in front of everybody, including Batman. See, he's not a dick. They're still teammates, guys.
Yeah, and this is the part where Talia is telling them that there's bioterrorists and she's gonna help them get to them, but then another flunky shoots her in the leg. and stops her. But this is where we see that Talia has a heart of gold.
Chad shoots her.
Chad, it is the 8th in sync member or whatever with his goggles. With his goggles.
He's like, I took her out. I took her out, and I'm gonna be Ra's al Ghul's #1 man. I'm gonna be Bob the Goon.
Backfires on him.
Sure does. All right, issue 46, the conclusion of the Tower of Babel.
Let's do, you know what I'm thinking for the cover? Why don't we gather up the Justice League, have them all look at the camera, and just get really good shots into their face.
Yeah.
To really illustrate.
Do that.
Odd cover. The first two covers are pretty good, but the last two are a little silly.
I love the cover. I love the cover that this one. Yeah, the one that came in like the trade paperback where Batman's just standing over them all. That's a great cover.
That is a good cover.
Yeah.
But man, I don't know. This is just like
I like the one the first issue. I don't like Ra's al Ghul in it, kind of with his back to the camera, but I do like that visual of their costumes kind of crucified.
Yeah, like
it's very also kind of identity crisis with the cowl.
It's kind of cool watching Ra's walk through the graveyard of the Justice League and be like, I did this. You know, like I don't mind it. You know,
but so the last issue, we get a little shot of the Martian Thick Hunter here. Look at that guy.
Oh yeah. Look at that.
Big boy.
He's a wide boy.
He takes off his glove like nicely, but what you guys didn't see, the panel in between this, is him shredding the suit like Wonder Woman did.
I know.
Yeah. And then he just
rips it to shreds.
Jumps in the tank and assaults Aquaman.
Well, before that, and like going back to the dialogue and the art, like there's a panel of John like climbing a ladder to leave the watchtower, and he's got a thought bubble, and it's the other Leaguers have destroyed Al Ghul's language scramblers. Still, so long as that madman runs free, we remain Arthur. It's like, but in that panel, it's as if he's been looking at Arthur the entire time he's been thinking that entire sentence. I don't know. It just like that could have been broken up into like a few different panels. I think where like it looks like he's staring at Aquaman the entire time he's thinking that, and he's like, "Oh shit." Aquaman
well, also Arthur's starting. The reason he's panicking is because Martian Manhunter took like his concentration off him for 5 seconds because he's like, "Oh, I'm better now," you know, which I thought was like, "What the fuck?" Like, is that how that works? You have to constantly concentrate at him.
The other thing is, so he talks.
Fucking
he talks
keep doing
Arthur.
It. Like, why are you letting it slip?
Well, he talks Arthur into channeling his fear into anger and to overcome it. And he could say something like, channel your anger into the man behind all this Ra's al Ghul, but instead he says, channel your anger to Batman.
Think about Batman.
Which is an interesting choice, but okay.
Which I thought was it. I mean, and we'll get into it when they start voting later, but like Martian Manhunter classically like did the same thing. And I know they bring it up later. And he even votes for Batman because of it.
Yeah. It's odd.
But in the meantime, he's like, by the way, Aquaman, it's all about Batman. It was Batman that did this to you. And you're just like, dude, you could have said Ra's al Ghul. 2, you did the same fucking thing, essentially. And then 3, you voted for Batman later. It's really weird that you're like blaming it all on Batman and then simultaneously being like, guys, come on, let him stay. Not a big deal. Like, calm down.
But so they have to go find these 2 poison gas canisters. And one of them, so Flash immediately gets stuck vibrating again. Like immediately. Because he gets too close to the canister that's open and he has to vibrate out of the poison.
Mm-hmm. Well, he found
if he moves, the gas will be thrown all over the world or whatever.
Yeah. So and it's just like
I like how Plastic Man goes, why doesn't he just vibrate down to the ground? And I was like, yes, why doesn't he just vibrate down to the ground? And I know they say like, well, what if he's infected, he could still spread it or whatever. And I'm like, all right, I get it. But still, I'm like, that was pretty solid. Good job, Plastic Man.
And then Batman and Superman are flying together, and Batman kind of reveals why he collected everyone's weak points, and it's because of an old Silver Age miniseries where Agamemnon took over their bodies and powers.
I feel like isn't that when they reference that in Identity Crisis, don't they? Or do they not?
I don't think so.
Because don't supervillains switch places with the Justice League? I think, right? There's a blurb about that in Identity Crisis.
I think I think
maybe.
I think they referenced
Reading
that maybe. Also, the Martian Manhunter doing files on them all is relatively like recent in people's memories, because I think that was like, if I'm not mistaken, I think it was part of the Justice League Year One storyline that they had done. Like they did like a standalone 12-issue maxi series kind of thing. And I think it was in that they were like, Martian Manhunter kept track of who everybody was because he didn't trust anybody or whatever, kind of thing. So it was relatively recent that was like in people's memories. It's not like they're referencing something from like a million years ago.
Yeah.
I think it was like a retconned recent story arc. If I'm not mistaken, I think it was Justice League Year One, but I could be wrong. But anyway, Ra's al Ghul throws what's his name down to the
I don't know how specific we want to go, but basically they find the canisters, they stop Ra's al Ghul. I mean, I do think it's kind of cool how the last canister that Wonder Woman stops, she kind of talks the bad guy.
She talks him down.
She kind of talks to his humanity and kind of convinces him to not release the gas, which I thought was kind of neat.
I liked that too. I liked at the end of it wasn't like this big fight. It was just like Wonder Woman going like, well, you could try or I could try, but it's probably going to fail. And like, why don't I just talk to him, kind of thing.
Well, also it was because the guy that had the canister with Flash, his mask failed.
So there was like
like Roz's men weren't supposed to die. Like so, Wonder Woman's like,
or were they?
No, I think it was kind of implied that they were supposed to die.
No, they weren't, because she was like, "Are you prepared to die?" And he goes, "Yes." And she's like, "What if your mask doesn't work like the other guy's mask? Are you still prepared?"
To die? The point is, he had brought that up himself.
I think Roz meant for them to die.
Maybe Roz did. I don't think they knew they were.
Oh no, not at all.
Sure,
they weren't like going in like
like
suicide bombers. They weren't like doing that on purpose. I think. Or they weren't going in. But he even says, like, well, I'll be a martyr. And she's like, will you, though? Will he care? Will he give a fuck if you die? Kind of thing. I thought that was kind of cool.
It's kind of random, but Superman and Batman go after Roz, and Roz distracts them by sending 1 tiger and 4 lions after them. And I thought, like, Superman's just going to fly over them and pursue Roz. And instead...
No.
It cuts to Superman putting...
You got to catch the cats. You got to put them in a cage that you construct out of your heat vision and scrap metal. Then you can go after Roz. It's very normal.
Yeah, I just feel like he wasted like a solid 5 minutes doing that. And he's like, all right.
Again, I feel like Batman's parents have just... Yeah, he's like...
Now we can continue.
He's like, where did Roz go? He's like, he's over there. Anyway, let's stop and grab these cats real quick. Why don't you just fly over it? Just leave the cats like running around that room for a minute.
Let Batman handle it.
Or no, pick Batman up. Just close the door behind you so they don't get up. Pick Batman up, fly over them, and you're done.
Well, I think Roz even makes a comment of like, Superman respects the animal kingdom too much, and he'll take time to deal with the animals. And it's like he could.
I mean, why? Like, you're telling me Batman didn't have some gas in his fucking utility belt to be like, they're passed out. Let's go. Like, or so. I mean, there's so many faster ways to have dealt with that.
But then at the end,
his parents had just been dangling above this thing for like a while, right? Like,
yeah. But so then, anyway, everything gets resolved, and back at the Watchtower.
Well, wait. Let me. So, just my one last art call out is after Roz gets away, his main henchman is Dr. Kant. Okay, so Dr. Kant is also fleeing, and Aquaman stops him, and Aquaman grabs him with his right arm, the metal arm, and he throws him, and he makes a comment about that's the way the League works, and he throws the Doctor. And then he looks over his shoulder, and there's ellipses, which means he pauses, and he stares at Batman, and he goes, in theory. And the next panel, Superman's snatching Dr. Kant out of the air, which means that motherfucker's been flying through the air for like a solid, I don't know, like 3 to 5 seconds.
3 to 5 seconds, yeah.
And then in the next panel, he's out of Superman's hands, and Batman's got him slammed. It's just like the abrupt, it's just like the the pacing of the like action sequences in this storyline were just I was very confused on how we got from
I
one
think
panel
a thing that the movie did so much better is that like they weren't constantly helping each other out throughout. Like they were all taken out at the same time. You know what I mean? It's not like Wonder Woman and Flash showed up to like help Green Lantern and like, you know, whoever.
Right,
You know, like it was just like they all got taken out. Like that's how. Anyway, I'm just like, wow, what a much more concise way of telling that story. Anyway,
Yeah.
but it was just one of those things where it's like that's a little like it's been this version of the story, which I originally loved, is very clunky and like filled with like plot holes and like weird shit happening like that constantly. You're just like, what? It almost feels like you needed 2 more issues to tell it more properly, pacing wise, like not add any story at all, just pacing wise, like more art and less words, you know, and just been like, let's get there slower kind of thing. But then we would have had to read 2 more issues of it, so I'm all right with it. Anyway, Wonder Woman talks him down, and let's get to the voting. So they vote. They decide. So Batman, Superman's like, I closed Batman in the conference room for a reason. Let's talk about what happened, you know, kind of thing. And Aquaman immediately starts off with like, it's not luck, Cal. Not to sound arrogant, but we've earned that trust. It's not, if not from everyone, then certainly from each other. And he's like, as in like, I want him off the team kind of thing. And Flash is like, it's fucked up, but I still think it's Batman. And who am I to argue with? You know, like kind of like, you know, like I'll deal with it. And then Martian Manhunter does the same thing. Which again, I mean, I already mentioned, but it's just like, it's so funny how like in the beginning of this issue, he's like, think of Batman. It was Batman's fault. And then like he gets to this and he's like, give the guy a chance. You know what I mean? Like, let it go back. And then like, he really loses his shit over his own defense over him, like him doing the same thing, basically. Like he's like screaming at everybody.
Well, why does Wally lose it over the Hal Jordan reference? Why does Wally?
Oh, I think it's just like because Hal and Barry were like best buds, and I think he's just protective of like heroes in general, and like he's still at this point in time. I think Wally, although he's like quote unquote friends with Kyle, because they still wanted to like force that Green Lantern Flash relationship in the comics. I think he still treats Kyle as like a newbie, and he has to be like, hey, fuck you. Do you want to talk about heroes that way? You know, like that's all that it's like him standing up for like people that he idolized.
Because Kyle did make a very good point.
Oh, it's super valid.
Green Lantern out of control is dangerous.
Yeah.
But so Kyle votes for Batman to stay. Wonder Woman votes nay. Martian Manhunter votes stay.
Wonder Woman, I think, is the one person that votes like the most honestly, like in all of it. She's just like, at the end of the day, I just can't trust somebody that did that, period. You know, that's it. That's all it comes down to. And I was like, oh, all right. I like that Plastic Man, although loyal to Bruce for whatever reason, for like getting him into the league and like always treating him seriously, even though he puts on this mild facade, half facade of being a fuck up and an idiot, like sees the good in Plastic Man and realizes the extent to which his abilities could be useful to the league. And even still, Plastic Man's like, get him out of here.
Well, I do like how everyone
was like
has
a big deal. Like at the time, it was like that felt like a big deal for Plastic Man to be like, no, I'm done.
Well, everyone gives this sort of long-winded speech, and then Plastic Man just goes, get him out of here.
He kind of whispers
it. Trauma from being shattered, you know?
Also, Plastic Man wears his goggles on his eyes, not on his forehead like
I don't know if I've ever seen Plastic Man's eyes.
Body, right? That's part of his body, isn't it?
I think it's all part of the...
It's all part of the whole thing.
And so it all boils down to basically Superman being the tiebreaker. And Flash makes the comment that, well, Batman already knows how you're going to vote, right? And then they open the door and Batman is out.
Well, I think the key being there that Batman knew how they would all vote, so he knew it would come down.
Yes, so he already knew that.
One. Yeah.
And that Superman was going to vote for him to leave.
Otherwise, it implies that Batman was eavesdropping the entire time.
And he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't.
No, he's been gone. He's been gone since Superman closed the door.
Or was he hiding in the rafters for 2 hours?
He's absolutely up in the rafters, by the way. He's 100% up there and going, huh, device worked. What's the size of the table? Like what do you
large
do at that table?
Large.
There's no lazy Susan in the middle. Like, how are you supposed to serve food there or do anything? Like, hey, can I see that paper? Let me slide it across you. It only gets halfway. You're like, fuck, sorry. Like, what are you doing? Like, hold on. And then it's like how's the soup Batman situation? And he's like, oh, can you pass the salt? He has to get up and walk it all the way to the other side of the table. What's the point of this table? It's so big. It's so big.
Yeah. But so that's
anyway,
the story. Although, I'm sorry, are you guys having like audio issues? Is it just me?
No, I'm good.
I keep hearing this buzzing, and it sounds like does this?
I actually am hearing a buzzing.
The Bechdel test. The
Bechdel test. Does this pass the Bechdel test? I can barely see.
Probably no.
This one doesn't.
It does not.
If you count the VR woman.
But she's not real. She's VR.
I mean, she's
VR, right?
I don't know.
It's a female character. They're talking.
She is a character that is female, and they do talk about not a man. So
fighting and competition and never giving up.
I feel like that's not the spirit of the Bechdel test.
It's not the spirit, but I think it passes the letter of the law of the Bechdel test. Because, like you said, Wonder Woman has some pretty badass lines in that fight. And I don't know.
Okay, so it passes.
Pat, I'm gonna of all the times that we argue with Al about this, which is almost every time, I'm gonna have to say I think you're absolutely wrong on this one. It does not pass. 100% does not pass the Bechdel test. No, I can't. I'm sorry. I can't give you virtual woman randomly having.
Why
it's
not?
Because it's her talking to herself. That's why not. Because it's not. It's all in her head.
It's virtual.
She's not talking to another person.
What's reality, you guys?
Oh, what is reality? All right. Yeah, fair enough.
It was real to her. She could have died.
You know what?
She could have died.
You know what? You got me. I'm in. Never mind. Al, you're out.
Okay. So it passes. It passes.
Did you guys have extra pages? Did you have the lost pages?
No, I didn't.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
I just read the 4 issues.
What version did you read? Oh,
I just read the 4 issues on the DC.
Well, there's these lost pages where Wally goes and talks to Dick about things, about how they did it. It skips to Young Justice, and Superboy and Wonder Girl are kind of talking about it's kind of the ramification. It basically what Batman did fucked up even Nightwing's and Robin's and and Oracle's relationship with the League and Young Justice and the Titans. So they're all looking at them kind of going well, why would they stop at the Justice League? Why wouldn't they all be doing this? How does Tim have files on all of us? Blah, 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 that kind of thing. And I thought that was kind of fun. And basically it ends with Oracle kind of being like, hey, fuck you, man. Don't you I haven't talked to the League since you left the League. And I'm not I'm not on call. I'm part of the League, and they haven't talked to me once since all this happened. And it's got to be because of you, and blah blah blah. And she's like, do you even? And he's like, basically, Batman is kind of like, well, yeah, I guess that's how that happens, kind of thing. And she's like, what the fuck? Have you been listening to a word I said, kind of thing? And then it turns out that's all been recorded, and she sent it to Superman, and she's like, anyway, that's what he said. I don't know what the fuck is going on with him, kind of thing, And Superman's like, I'm sad now. And that's kind of the end. I was just like, what an interesting little epilogue there. That I never read those. I didn't know where they came from. I don't know if they were in something that was printed back in the day. But they're in the deluxe copy.
But a couple of comments I wanted to make now that we've talked about it as a whole, just kind of wrapping up the discussion. But so apparently one thing that Mark Waid talked about in an interview is that this arc has kind of taken on a life of its own after, with fanboys about being kind of the example of the sort of the Bat God idea of with enough prep, Batman could take on anybody, kind of
I
thing.
see.
And Mark Waid talks about it kind of regretfully because his intent for this was to make this arc really just about trust and about the team's fabric being undermined by, lack of trust and all that. But it's just that after the fact, all people really care about is just that Batman's so cool and that he could take on the whole Justice League if he wanted to. And
because at the end of the day, the
Waid
trust part is just the story, and it's not about like the long-standing characteristics that were then baked into Batman's character.
Yeah, and it goes back to kind of like, I guess the genesis was probably like Frank Miller and The Dark Knight Returns and that idea of Batman fighting Superman.
Well,
and I think
100%.
it's just, and all the way through Infinite Crisis, it's again this through line of Batman being this master planner and having contingency on contingency, and like the Brother Eye thing that Maxwell Lord took and the Omax and all that is like a weird escalation of all the plans he had in Tower of Babel. But Waid kind of talked about it regretfully because he just said the whole point was really to set up this dynamic of loss of trust in a team of superheroes and what that might mean. But it took on a life of its own, is like, and all these fanboys really ran with it. It's like, well, Batman's the best. He's a genius and he could defeat anybody, kind of thing.
Well, based on my reread of this, I would say that Mark Waid should be thankful that anyone remembers this story arc with positivity and got anything out of it, because it's not well written.
It's not the best. It's not the best.
No, it's not. So I guess on to recommendations. I feel like we know how we're all going to vote here.
Recommendations.
Just like Batman would know.
I'll start off just because I started before. I would not recommend this, although it is one of my favorite runs of the Justice League. Like we were kind of saying earlier, it's kind of our versions of the Justice League from when I was a kid, aside from the cartoon, I guess. But like I have like every issue of this run. I love this run of the Justice League, and I remember this being amazing. I love this story arc. It just doesn't hold up well. It's not like the art's clunky, the writing's clunky. If you want this story, and I know I mentioned it several times, but if you want this story and you want to see what it was like, watch the movie. It's better written, and it's written in a more linear fashion that makes more sense. And granted, they had like the hindsight of like, oh, let me improve upon this story that's 15 years old or whatever when they made that movie. But just a better version of the story, and you get the same bit. You get all the same beats, and it's done well. It doesn't hold up very well. I have a psychotic love for this run of comics, so I'm never going to be like, it's bad. But at the same time, I wouldn't recommend to read it. There's a better version out there.
I'm also going to say I don't recommend it, but I will just say that it is bad. Also, and so don't read it.
Yeah, same thing. I wouldn't recommend it. It just didn't age well at all. If they wanted to revamp it and redo this storyline for whatever current iteration of the DC universe we're at, it could be cool, but the dialogue is weird, the pacing's weird, the art is weird.
The B plot with Roz is weird. It's just like a weird plan. It's just a weird plan.
It's just odd. Just to sign off, would you guys? I would have voted for Batman to stay. I would have been mad, but I've been like, well, Batman, whether he's in the league or not, is going to be doing Batman shit. So I'd rather Batman be like in the fold, so we kind of know what he's up to a little bit, as opposed to him just being out there.
No, but see, but I wouldn't, because the thing is, Patrick, you can't rely on him.
Oh, you're an Aquaman?
That sense of it is gone. So get him out.
Damn it.
Let him do whatever he wants on the side, but you can't rely on him as part of the team.
I think you just have to view him. I would just have to view him. I wouldn't consider him part of the team. I would just, he's an asset to the team, but I wouldn't I'm like, he's working against the same enemy as me, but like, we're not really teammates anymore. But he thinks in a way that the rest of us don't, and he's been crucial to several of our successes.
So many.
Yeah.
So many.
Also, I guess it is a good point, Patrick, because at the same time, you also have to make sure he never regains the memory of what you did to Dr. Light. So you need to keep a close eye on him.
You gotta keep him close. I would definitely not vote him off the team.
I don't think anyone in the league at this point was involved in any of that.
No, it was just
No, none of these were.
I think the only exception is Flash in Identity.
No, Martian Manhunter was there, right? He's always part of it, right?
I don't know if Martian Manhunter.
I don't.
He's never not been on the league though. That's like the famously, at least at this point in time, he was still famously never not on the league.
But was he involved?
He may not have been involved in that whole thing. I don't remember. It was really like Hawkman and everybody, right?
I just remember Green Arrow, like Black Canary, and Zatanna.
Yeah, it wasn't any of the big. In Hawkman, Barry Allen, maybe Hal Jordan. I can't remember now.
At any rate, I think it's one. I would have done the voting differently, and maybe I would have had a discussion with everybody when Batman's not in the room. But I would have been like, "All right, Batman, come in here and give us your," or you'd be like, "Hey, tell us your reasoning before you walk out of the room, so we can all talk about it." You know, like it's weird that they don't even like ask him to defend himself, kind of thing. You know, it's weird.
Well, also
it's weird
the
to
voting.
like cast judgments on somebody when you don't even go like, "Hey, tell me your side before I say whether you're staying on the team or not." That part I'm like, that's weird. I would have been like, at least let him say his piece.
Also,
but that being said, like I'm on Patty's side. I wouldn't vote him off.
But the voting should be anonymous.
He's completely useful in so many different ways.
And the voting should be anonymous. You can't have people give speeches that would anchor someone else's decision when it's their turn.
Yeah, you just got to black ball, white ball. You know, like you gotta do this like anonymously. But that being said, like Wonder Woman kind of said it well, even though she voted to get him off the team. But in the sense of like, I don't even mind that there was plans. I just didn't like that he didn't tell us that there was plans. He doesn't have to. She even said he doesn't have to tell us the details of the plans, so we can't counteract them or whatever. Like he should have told us there was plans. That's a simple thing of like going, Batman, next, you know, you should have told us that this existed, and I'm angry about it. But I'm not. It's not like vote him off the league worthy. You know, I don't know. It's not that big of a breach of trust. I'm not. Half of them aren't even surprised that he had the plans. Like,
I wouldn't be upset he had plans. I'd be upset he had the plans so carelessly stored that someone else was able to steal them. So, yeah, I don't know. Bruce?
Yeah.
I'd vote him out.
Maybe.
I'd vote him out.
Figure it out.
Okay.
All right. That being said, I know it's like, I mean, it's not the best time to bring it up, but just so you know, Al, like we definitely have, me and Patty have talked about it a couple of times, and we're like, what would we do? Like if Al got taken over? And I mean, we've got certain contingencies in place. That's all I'm saying. Like it's just like, just in case your mind gets taken over. We don't know.
Well, first of all, that's a pretty deep betrayal. I definitely don't have schematics on how to defeat the two of you. I definitely do not have.
You can't possibly. You're not smart enough. Anyway, the point is, you know, every once in a while, we've been talking about it. Every time we start the episode, you don't even know what universe we're in. You're driving us all over the place. I don't even know what's going on anymore. So anyway, we've been talking about it, and we're like, maybe we should build in some autopilot on the Mobius Couch, or you know, maybe we're ready for if. I'm just going to tell you, we're ready for if you get your mind taken over.
Well, and look, this is something we'll explore in the next story arc, the Tower of Albel.
I think we won comics for the week, boys.
We won them.
Yeah,
Good journey. Good journey, Couchers.
See you.